Confucius once said we all have two lives. The second one starts when you realize you only have one. When and why did your second life begin? A dear friend got cancer. Out of the blue and bad. We were 29 and both just hitting our strides in life and work. She was dead 18 months later. It absolutely rocked me to my core how fragile life is. After having a stroke, I became much more determined to do stuff. I'm much more aware that YOLO. Last week, a coworker had a gigantic heart attack and instantly died right there in the cafeteria. I didn't know him, so while it was a horrible thing to witness, I'll eventually get over it. What shook me more was the fact he was only in his early 20s, just about younger than me, and wasn't much more overweight than I am. Seeing firsthand how suddenly all my bad decisions can just erase me from existence, and the fact I've had a couple of small chest pains and ignored them in the past. I threw out everything remotely sugary the instant I got home. Edit. Thanks for those who have recommended seeing a doctor. I had already gotten a general checkup appointment just to be safe. I realized I was the crazy ex and immediately switched that shit around. 2 years ago last month I used meth for the last time. Edit. Wow, this blew up. I'll take the time to reply to everyone individually later, but I just want to say thank you to everyone for the kind words and encouragement. I would also like to say that I have a medical marijuana card, so I do not consider myself sober. I'm definitely still in recovery, specifically from amphetamines and alcohol. Marijuana and Zoloft are the only drugs I will ever put in my body again. Edit 2. If you or someone you know is in the situation I was in 2 years ago, please DM me if you want to talk. I'm in the process of becoming a substance abuse specialist. This stuff is my passion. So 1 week after being told I have prostate cancer at 47, I decided I needed to get fitter and healthier, but honestly, my heart wasn't in it, and I was on the verge of depression. It's 5:40 AM and I'm idly drinking tea before going to the gym, but I'm 50 over 50 about going back to bed and pretty much giving up on life. Scrolling down Facebook, I see the quote "A man has two lives, one before he realizes he is mortal and one after." I stared at it like it was a revelation. Something I can't describe lifted in me. I drained my tea and went to the gym. Almost exactly 1 year later I'm fit. Officially, I have lost 15 kilograms, with another 13 to go. And 6 mornings a week I row a 10k on a Concept 2 rowing machine, and go to the gym down weights once a week. My last scan showed the cancer hasn't changed one bit in a year, and now will be monitored for 2 years, to see if it's stable. If I do need to have it removed, I'm in the best shape for a successful opus. It's no exaggeration to say this quote changed my life and amp. #X200B. Update. Wow. Just wow. I never expected this response. Thank you so much. I have tried to reply to everybody who asked a question. Thank you for the gold and silver, and thank you for the support. It means a great deal to an old fucker like me. Also, I will never type "dung" instead of "doing" ever again. Oh my god. January 13th, 2018. I was in Honolulu, Hawaii during the false alarm ballistic missile strike. I called my parents to say goodbye and waited for the impact in the basement of our hotel with my fiancée. It took way too long for them to correct the mistake and let people know it was a false alarm. We were visibly shaken all day, and upon returning I decided then that I would request 3 months off work for my honeymoon instead of 2 weeks. Traveled the world and remembered how important family is compared to work. I still need to remind myself about it every so often, though, because the grind gets to you. When I graduated high school and realized I had no skills, no interesting hobbies, nothing interesting about myself, and that it was no wonder I struggled so much with dating. Spent the last few years changing that. It was at really low point in my life. I didn't think things could get worse. So many things going wrong, and so many bad choices being made. I was at a point where ending it all was the only option I could see. Upon cutting into my wrist everything was clear. It could be worse, and it will be, but shit, I don't want to die. 56 internal stitches, 15 external, and I'm still here. Things did get worse, but then they got amazing. I got psychological help. I used to think that life just sucked for everyone, and the trick was to fake your way through it. That faking was what I thought other people's happiness was. From puberty to after my 40th, I lived where every moment of happiness was weighed down by an ever-present depression and lack of self-esteem. I know this is small compared to what most people go through in life, and that's exactly the mentality that kept me from getting help. Took a bit, but after talking with a counselor once a week for a few months, being referred to a psychiatrist with initial diagnosis, and working with my psychiatrist to find medicines that work, I finally feel what I can only assume is normal. I wake up most days with an underlying happiness that's never been there before. Moments with my kids are not darkened by thoughts that I don't deserve them, or that they wouldn't love me if they knew me. Don't be like me. Even if your mountain seems small compared to your view of the mountain others are climbing, that doesn't mean you couldn't use some help finding the right path. To quote an old man from my childhood, it's dangerous out there. Edit, thanks for the gold. I truly hope that whatever type of help will lead to a better life for you, that you all get a chance to get it. Life can get better. Baby steps. I'm sailing. I suppose when I turned 20. Prior to that I had never thought past that age. Spent a long time stuck in a now what phase trying to not have an existential crisis. Eventually went to college, got a degree and now work in the field I studied for. Battled depression and won, and found some of the things I was looking for in life. Starting to figure out what I want from life and what it's going to take to get there. So I guess I started my second life when I got out of my age 20 funk. Got a scary diagnosis. Had a fear that I would never be anything more than I was at that moment, a victim who never really lived. So I cut abusive narcissistic family out of my life, got out of a unhappy marriage, lost a bunch of weight, and started working towards a career I wanted. I'm not perfect, but my life is good now, and my body is mostly cooperating. I honestly can't believe who I used to be. I had a woodworking accident just over 2 years ago. Wasn't huge. I lost my left index finger, but it kind of punched me in the gut. Makes you realize you aren't invincible. When I quit my job 5 years ago and biked across the country. The second I finished I realized that I was forever going to look at life differently. I had been working an absolutely horrendous job, high stress, low pay, terrible hours, all because I needed the experience it gave me for my career. At some point I realized I don't have to be this miserable. Rage quit, bought a bicycle, and cycled across the continental US for 2 months. Found my center and my confidence, and started treating myself better. Met some of the most interesting, most batshit crazy, and most honorable people along the way. Best decision I ever made, and I still treat myself with the respect I feel I deserve. Edit, **** real quick edit to share a few more details, since many are interested. This is not the complete blog, because I just didn't care to keep it up after a while. It does however share my prep and first few weeks on the road. https://tomshukis.tumblr.com/ https://tomshukis.tumblr.com/ I can't remember if my blog covered the financial side of it, but over the course of just under a year I had saved up about $5,000 to pull off the trip. No or pets at the time. I rented a room out of my dad's place during the shitty job, so cost of living was reasonable and not totally crazy. I was a crisis counselor, so while I say in the original comment that the pay was shit, that is relative. I wasn't making minimum wage, but what I was doing for the job didn't equal the pay I got in return. Above all, I was resourceful as hell during the trip. I went to cities where I knew people. I told my story to a lot of folks. Lots of strangers along the way gave me a gift card or a tenner or anything to help me along. Ever flirt with a motel desk clerk for a free room? It takes a lot of creativity to pull it off low cost, but it was worth every challenge. I had a conversation with my dad about winning the lottery. He asked me if I would go to film school if money wasn't an issue. I, of course, answered affirmatively. He told me to go for it. So I fucking did. Here I'm in my first semester as a film student, living the life I want to. Life is good RN. I'm not making compromises. A few months ago my mother fell down the stairs at 2 AM. We were home alone, and she wasn't responding. I called 112 and an ambulance came. She's fine now, but the thought of losing her shook me so much that I decided to throw my life around. I only have one and need to do as much as possible with it. I came out as B, starting eating healthier and focused on school a lot more. Life has been going a lot better since then. Just now, when one of my best friends and his sister were murdered by his dad at 16. Made me realize how precious life is and that I should be always grateful for what I have. It also wrecked my best friend's life forever, and he will never be the same. The first one hasn't even started. I'd buried most of my family, all grandparents, father, and brother, by 24. I'm not sure I remember the first life. When I was 25, mushrooms killed me. They were only joking, of course, but it seemed very real to me and nothing has ever been the same really. When I lost a wife and daughter. The first few months I don't even remember, but I do remember when I started to heal. It was a long road, but once I set my sights on going back to school to become a lawyer, I really began to start to heal. This Friday I will be sworn in as an attorney. I grew up super Mormon. My life was dedicated to being the perfect Mormon girl. Church for 3 hours on Sunday, seminary for an hour 5 times a week, mutual on Tuesday nights, service project all day on Saturdays, Book of Mormon study every morning, and for an hour before bed. The church also completely determined what I wore, how I spoke, who my friends were, my political beliefs, etc. The Mormon church is all consuming. They even get 10% of your pre-taxed money. But this is all okay, but this life is just a test. We'll have all of eternity to do whatever we want if we can just dedicate this life to the church. Plus if we don't, you're doomed to an eternity of hell, and you won't see your family in the afterlife. One day I found out the church was all bullshit. All of it. It was started by a scam artist. I went from fully believing Mormon to an atheist in the period of 30 minutes. That was over 25 years ago. I realized I only have this life, and I need to make the best of it. I'm happily married now, I'm raising 3 little heathens and I try to make each day count. The weekends are for being outdoors. Meeting the woman who would become my wife. I had been in numerous crappy relationships, mostly because I was childish, lazy, and selfish, and was thoroughly unemployed with only a jet to my name. I had been taking classes at our local community college, but had no specific goal. I was used to ex-girlfriends telling me to get a job and grow up, but this woman was different. She pushed me, but in a loving way. She challenged me to be my best. We got married right after I got my master's degree. Absolutely none of what I have achieved would have happened without her, and I'm thankful and grateful for this second life. Edit. Okay, I guess people want to know what she did lol. Well, we have been together for 7 years, almost 8. It's a lot of give and take, but we also just fit together. I love cooking, and she loves cleaning. A lot of the way that she pushed me was just to encourage me. Instead of saying, I don't know if you'll be able to do thing I want to do, or that's stupid, I don't think you should do thing I'd like to do, she would say, do it. I'll support you, no matter the outcome. She celebrated me when I succeeded and held me when I failed. We have always supported each other's happiness, but kept it realistic. When I was stressed out about grad school, she would tell me to take a day for myself and relax. Or go fishing. I hope this helps, I don't know how else to explain it lol. 9. Got my first migraine. Slowly realized my life was gonna hurt going forward no matter what, so enjoy the moments you are physically able to. Edit. My condolences to everyone else also suffering with migraines and daily headaches. Smile while you can. Tomorrow might be worse.